All right, let's just jump right in. There's a story gripping the Philippines right now that sounds like something straight out of a movie. It's got two women, a really mysterious death, and a conspiracy theory that is so wild, it actually might be true. So you got two key players here. First, Maria Catalina Cabral. She's a high-ranking government official, and get this, she was a key witness in a massive corruption investigation. She was found dead in a ravine. Then you have Sherra De Juan, a bookkeeper who just vanished days before she was supposed to get married. Now look at them. The thing that's got everyone talking is how similar they look. Same petite frame, similar build, and that's where this whole wild theory starts. What if the body found in that ravine isn't the government official? What if it's the missing bride?
So you're probably asking, how would this even work? Well, the theory breaks down into three simple steps. First, on December 10th, Shura disappears. Just gone. Leaves her phone and everything. Second, that disappearance creates this crucial 8-day window. 8 days between when Shura vanished and when Cabral's body was supposedly found. Plenty of time, people are saying, to set the stage for something big. And that leads to step 3, the craziest part, the body swap. The theory goes that Shura's body was planted in the ravine to make it look like Cabral was dead, giving the real Cabral the ultimate escape plan.
I mean, it's a pretty dramatic plan, right? Faking your own death? It raises the biggest question of all. Why? Why would a powerful government official go through all that trouble? Well, the answer involves an absolutely mind-boggling amount of money. Yeah, we're not just talking about getting out of a jam. We're talking about a motive fueled by a staggering amount of cash. This is a scandal so big it could potentially take down some of the most powerful people in the entire country. Just take a second and look at that number. 545.6 billion pesos. That's not a typo. That's the insane figure at the heart of what they're calling the Philippines underwater flood control scandal. Calling that a motive feels like an understatement. It's more like a political earthquake.
So how does something like this even happen? Well, we're talking about billions paid out for what are basically ghost projects. Think about it. Massive flood control systems that were paid for but never actually built. A shadowy group called the Big 15 contractors supposedly grabbed about 100 billion pesos of that money for themselves. But here's the real kicker. Kathy Cabral, the woman who died, was rumored to have the list. You know, the list with the names of everyone involved, from the contractors all the way up to the lawmakers who were getting huge kickbacks.
And this wasn't just, some simple backroom deal. It was a whole sophisticated system. You had officials inside the Department of Public Works and Highways, the DPWH, who were moving the funds around. Contractors were getting paid for projects that didn't exist, and lawmakers were allegedly getting a huge cut. Cabral was right in the middle of it. As a potential whistleblower, she could have brought the whole house of cards down. That made her either a huge target, or, if you believe the conspiracy, someone who was desperate to find a way out of it all.
Okay, so when you've got a motive that big, people are naturally going to start looking a little closer at the official story of her death. And you know what? When they did, they started finding some serious cracks. And I mean big ones.
The official story just started to fall apart pretty quickly. For one, the driver's story is just weird. He says this high-ranking official wanted to be left all alone on a dangerous mountain road. Not once, but twice, with no security. Who does that? Then there's the fact that her family originally said no to an autopsy. That's really strange for what's being called an accident. And maybe the most convenient part for everyone else involved, her death gives them perfect legal cover. You can't cross-examine a dead witness, right?
Okay, now let's flip over to the other piece of this puzzle. Sherra, the missing bride. When the police looked at her laptop, they found some really disturbing stuff. We're talking searches for things like medication overdoses and lethal drugs. That points to someone in serious trouble. But her family? They're saying absolutely not. They insist everything was fine. The wedding was paid for, her dad's medical bills were handled. She had zero reason to be distressed. So you have two stories that are complete opposite. And that's pretty much where things stand right now. You've got these two competing realities clashing in public. On one hand, you have the official police version of events. And on the other, you've got this explosive conspiracy theory that's just catching on like wildfire because of all the doubt.
The official story is pretty cut and dry. The autopsy says the injuries look like they came from a fall. They confirmed the identity with fingerprints and dental records. Case closed, right? But then you have the public side. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, the CIDG, is still looking at all the possibilities. Was it an accident, suicide, or was foul play involved? And here's the part that really got people suspicious. They didn't do a DNA test at first. They only ordered one later because the public outcry was so loud. And that delay has created what everyone is now calling the DNA conflict.
So it all comes down to this, a final showdown, really. It all hinges on a single test, one DNA result that will either prove the official story is true or blow the lid clean off one of the biggest scandals this country has ever seen. Think about how fast all of this happened. December 10th, Sherra disappears into thin air. 8 days later, the body is found. Just 2 days after that, officials are already out there saying, yep, we've confirmed the identity. And then, literally the next day, the DPWH recommends charges against 87 people, all supposedly from Cabral's list. And now, the whole nation is just waiting, holding its breath for the DNA results from the National Bureau of Investigation, which are expected to drop right around Christmas time. The timing of it all is just wow.
So we're left with all these huge, hanging questions, right? Why was a top official left alone on a dangerous road? Why did the family say no to an autopsy at first? Why was Sherra supposedly searching for lethal medications if her family says her life was great? And of course, the billion-dollar question, what is that DNA test going to show? Will it confirm it's Cabral, or will it be a match for Sherra's family, proving the conspiracy was real all along? But here's the real takeaway, and this is important. No matter what that DNA test says, the body swap theory has already had a massive impact. Whether it's true or not, it's put a giant, unmissable spotlight on a level of corruption that is so staggering, so deep, that people find it easier to believe this crazy conspiracy theory than to trust what their own government is telling them. Public trust is just, it's shattered.
And there's this quote that just perfectly captures the whole situation. Dead men tell no tales, but their evidence lives on. Think about it. That list with 87 names on it, it's still out there. The investigation into those ghost projects, it's still going. So the real question isn't just who is in the grave. It's whether justice has any chance of seeing the light of day, or if the truth is going to be buried right along with the body.
So an entire nation is watching, just waiting, because the answer here isn't just about solving one mystery. It's going to define this entire political era. It's going to tell us if accountability is even possible anymore. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What do you think that DNA is going to reveal? An unfortunate accident or a conspiracy that goes deeper than anyone can imagine?